summer days, just shingling the rum seller's roof.
And in Hannibal, Missouri, 1853, a young red-headed printer named Sam Clements wrote under the pen name of
W. Epaminondas Adrastus Blab. The Blabs were ancestors of mine. The first Blab lived in Adam's time and had a little falling out with that distinguished gentleman. But Adam was no more respectable than Blab. He never had a mother. At least folks said so, and people of that character don't stand very high nowadays. However, if it hadn't been for that little difficulty, a Blab would have been president instead of John Quincy Adams. Despite all these things, the Blabs have been somewhat distinguished anyhow. Mention was made of them in a book which was never published, and another one was hung last week for his rascality. And I'm glad of it, for he was a Democrat and ought to have been hung a long time ago.
50 years. From statehood to war, plague, and laughter, if ever a state was born of the fourth estate, it was Missouri. 50 years. And if you think anything has changed since statehood, well, listen.
Kicking a Yankee. We remember a sharp fellow named Doolittle, a Connecticut exotic who was transplanted from Harvard for the purpose of assuming the editorial control of a violent party paper where no one had ever labored because of an infinite quantity of Bowie knives and pistols. Doolittle was highly educated, impetuous, brave yet cunning, and careful of his own interest. He took hold of the paper with the determination to make it serviceable to the cause, and he did. The opposing candidate was a bad fellow, a duelist, dram drinker, a lover of poker, and a votary of Venus. Doolittle did what no other editor had ever dared to do. He said so. The day on which Doolittle said so, the candidate entered the editor's office.
You, Doolittle?
I am.
You have libeled and insulted me,
He said, drawing a large knife.
and I have come for your ears.
I beg your pardon, sir. Suppose we compromise the matter.
Very well. I'll kick you, and you shall make a full retraction.
You'll what?
Kick you.
Do you insist on that little privilege?
I am unalterably fixed in my determination.
So am I, fixed in my determination not to be kicked.
Said Doolittle, firing a horse pistol as big as a blunderbuss and breaking the politician's leg.
Well, Doolittle held his situation 6 months. He was stabbed twice, shot 3 times, belabored with a bludgeon once, thrown into a pond once, but never kicked. An absolute fact. Within a few years, the news would all be bad. Civil War, Missouri and Kansas and bushwhackers and jayhawks. Newspaper offices burned and editors feared for their lives. One man named his paper the Unterrified Democrat in defiance of local politics. Slaves could not read the papers because slaves could not read. Freedom was a secret. Editors who wrote about abolition risked being tarred and feathered or worse. Somehow, though, the news got through. Missouri never forgot the first lesson I taught, that freedom of expression is the first right of a free people. We learned hard, but we learned well. And from what I hear, Missouri newspapers are doing just fine.
I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Kathy and Dave. I left my notes at the diner. So, I don't imagine you all still want to hear this. So, how about just a few more songs from Kathy and Dave while we finish preparing the refreshments in the back, and then we'll invite you to join us. Ladies and gentlemen, Kathy Barton and Dave Para.
Thank you. We'll do two songs here to end up. The first one is one written by Dan Emmett, the same fellow who gave us Old Dan Tucker and I Wish I Was in Dixie's Land, a song that was popular the 1840s and 50s and 60s, a song called The Boatman's Dance. And then we're going to end up with a little tune to end that was originally called Natchez Under the Hill, later became known as Old Zip Coon, and finally became known by a tune named Turkey in the Straw, so we'll end up with that one. So this is a little bit of The Boatman's Dance.
Boatman, dance, dance, boatman, dance, dance all night to the broad daylight. Go home with the gals in the morning. Hey ho, the boatman goes sailing on the river on the Ohio. Hey ho, the boatman goes sailing on the river on the Ohio.
Well, the boatmen dance, the boatmen sing, the boatmen do most any old thing. When the boatman he get on shore, spends his money and he works for more. Dance, boatman, dance, dance, boatman, dance, dance all night to the broad daylight. Go home with the gals in the morning.
Hey ho, the boatman goes sailing on the river of the Ohio. Hey ho, the boatman goes sailing on the river of the Ohio.
Well, I never seen a pretty girl in my life, but that she'd be some boatsman's wife. When the boatman he blows his horn, look out, man, your daughter's gone.
Dance, boatman, dance, dance, boatman, dance, dance all night till the broad daylight. Go home with the gals in the morning. Hey ho, the boatman goes sailing on the river of the Ohio. Hey ho, the boatman goes sailing on the river of the Ohio.
Let's thank Dave and Kathy once more. Thank you, then. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Birthday party for Missouri newspapers. I want, first of all, if we get the house lights up, well, we're going to first introduce the folks who are in the cast. But, by the way, Dave and Kathy have CDs out front if you'd like to buy one. Join me in recognizing our cast. Gloria Dossett. Gloria? Ben Friesen. Ben. Darren Hellwedge. Darren. Bob Pretty. Jim Robertson. Jim Steele.
The director of the editor is absent, Brett Johnson. Brett? And the MoHiP theater artistic director and the playwright for tonight's production, Mary Burrill. Mary. I'd like to introduce a few people. Jack Whitaker is president of the Missouri Press Association. Jack. Jack and his wife Sarah are here tonight. Jack is publisher at Hannibal, up there at Hannibal Courier Post. So I don't think you were there, were you, when Mark Twain wrote this? And I'd like to recognize Dr. William Howard Taft. Dr. Taft is right here. Dr. Taft is one of the few journalism professors that gave me a B when I was in J school. And I think a few people up here had Dr. Taft in school. And did anybody have Dr. Taft in school out there? Look at the hands going up there, yeah. But Dr. Taft is the official historian of the Missouri Press Association, and he has graciously given us autographed copies of his book, 200 Years of Missouri Press Association and Newspapers. They're out in the lobby. If you'd like a copy for $5, you can pick them up tonight. All those proceeds go to the Missouri Press Foundation. And finally, I'd like to thank, well, I want one more thing. Who currently works for a newspaper in Missouri? Would you stand up? And if you have worked in the past at a Missouri newspaper, why don't you stand up too? Everybody keeps, that's most of the crowd. Finally, I'd like to thank the Friends of Historic Boonville and this beautiful Thespian Hall, and to the Press Association and to the State Historical Society and to MoHiP Theater. And a little plug here, if you're not a member of either the Friends of Historic Boonville or the State Historical Society, check their websites. Their website addresses are in the program, and consider a membership. Well, hope you've enjoyed this evening. Now, a birthday party wouldn't be a birthday party without cake and punch, and right up here on stage we have cake and punch, and so we'd like to have you join us on stage. You can either come up right through here, or you can go around the building and come through an outside door over here. Have I forgotten anything? My name's Doug Cruz. I'm executive director of the Missouri Press Association, and I'm also privileged to be president of the State Historical Society, so go figure. Anyway, thank you very much. I want to thank the society staff who's here tonight, Chris Montgomery and Carol Sue, DeLate. Are there other staff members here? I know there are. I'm going to miss people. There's Lynn Gensler, and Dr. Gary Kramer would be here, but who's getting married? His daughter is being married tonight, so Gary decided to go to the wedding. Well, listen, come on up and have some cake, and thank you very much. Happy birthday.